Alright, let's do a little tool bag check. This is what I carry on every job. It's like everything you need in a pinch. Like if you need something like really fast, if you screw something up, you need to fix it really fast. This is everything pretty much you need as far as tools go to make it work. So on the side, this is a magnet. Stretches out pretty far. Well, that's not magnetic, that's, there you go. So if you drop, I used this yesterday because I dropped something in between a cabinet and I couldn't reach it with my fingers. So this thing is huge because I was able to just slide it back there and pull the whole, it was a hinge that I dropped, so it was metal. I was able to pull it all the way back out. Where if I didn't have this, I would have had to get a stick or, you know, I had to figure out something. Would have taken a lot more time. So that's that. Next to it, I don't know what that is. I don't think I used that. This is just a basic screwdriver. It's the best screwdriver ever because flathead screwdriver. Because it's just really flat and it's really small. So a file, just a cheap file. You never know when you're gonna cut a piece of metal, you're gonna cut something down that leaves a jagged edge that you don't want your customer to cut themselves on. Then you just file it down real quick. It's an old paintbrush that I keep. I don't know, I mean, I'll use it, but I haven't in a while. Ratcheting screwdriver. I don't know why this is in here because I use another one. Let's just go, we'll get to that later. I just carry all my drills in here. You know, this M12 is 12 volt. Plenty of power for most things. I wouldn't do a deck or build a fence or anything with M12 or 12 volt because it's just not strong enough. I've tried several times and I've made it work, but it burns up batteries. It's not good. Another little impact M12. I mean, these things are like my hands when I'm working. They're excellent and they're not bulky, so you know it's easy to carry around. The bulkiest thing is the bag. Then here we go. These are busted, I think, but they still work. It's actual flush cutters. You see how flat that is? If you can see, it'll actually cut really, really close to the metal, to the piece of what you're cutting. A lot of flush cutters are like this. Actually, it's perfect. A lot of flush cutters are like this, where they have that little bit of a lip there to where it's not truly a flush cut. You see the little lip on the edge of that? It's not totally flat to where like this is totally flat. See, this one's all jacked up. I've tried to do too much with it. It's good for smaller stuff. A bigger pair would be better for bigger stuff, but I tried to make it work. But these work for bigger stuff. It's just, it's not gonna cut it flush. It's still gonna stick out just a little bit, enough to where it's a problem. So, you know, but anyway, that's what that is. You just have to sand it down or grind it down. And this is why I'm getting a new bag. I mean, I just deal with this shit all the time. It doesn't fit in there, so I have to move it. These are van pliers from Japan. If my camera would ever focus, it would be marvelous. This is van pliers from Japan. They're freaking excellent. They have this, you know, it's just like a pair of pliers, but it has this like rounded edge on the inside. See those grooves there? You can really grab a hold of the end of a strip screw and you hold on to it and you can turn it and those grooves really help grab it. These are freaking excellent. They're like $60. Made in Japan, good quality. These are excellent. I gotta have those. This is just another pair of like channel lock type pliers. You know, this thing ratchets down because I don't know why my camera doesn't like to focus. I guess because I'm on the whole bag. So that's okay. That's that. Another little chicken shit one. These things are just an extra pair of something to grab on. You know, if you need to grab onto something. And in a pinch, that's what that is. These are needle nose pliers. These are like super needle nose. To where you can get in really tight spaces. You know. Where like these wouldn't work because they're too fat. You see how fat that is? I mean, they're needle nose, but they're too fat. So that's why these are great, because see how like more thin they are there? You can stick it into a further spot and, you know, get at something better. They're not as strong as these. These are excellent too. But we'll just put these things up in a little while. What else? This is an electrician's tool, basically. But the best thing about these things is when you need to cut a machine screw from an outlet or something that's too long, or a screw for like a cabinet pull that's too long, you can thread it. You thread it into these little grooves here. You insert the screw there. Let me see if I can get it. Put the screw in there, and then you twist it in. It'll fit either side, any of the sizes you have. And then you squeeze tight, and it'll break off. And then you go backwards, and it cuts it off clean. It's huge, because if you try to cut a screw short with like, say, like these, it'll work, but the end of the screw is not going to go back into the thing you're using, because this will make it like kind of sandwich it up. You know, it'll kind of fold it up, whereas the other one cuts it clean so you can reuse the screw, which is the whole purpose of cutting the screw. This is a stiletto titanium bar. Really useful. I mean, it's like a feather, lightweight, but it's titanium, so it's like super strong, and it's super flat, so I can get into stuff, I can pry stuff off a wall or something. I can use the nail puller here. You pop a nail out. That's that. Just a little level. One thing about levels is you'll see these levels at the store. You're gonna see they're all good. I mean, they're all about the same. But the thing is with these things is not all of them are level. So you have to get the level you're using. You have to get the level you're gonna buy. There'll be 10 or so of them. Check them out on the wall next to it. There's usually a metal piece you can stick it up to, or a flat piece you can stick it up to, and get another level and test it out and see if it reads correct. There's other ways of doing it. There's probably videos can show you how to do it, but you turn it both ways. You turn it upside down both ways. You want to make sure it's 100% accurate, or it defeats the whole purpose. And a lot of these little levels like this are not accurate, so you have to check. People don't do that. You're going to see people's houses, you're going to see picture frames that are slightly crooked, not much, but it's probably because they used a shitty level. Best tape ever. It's just a 16-foot. I like it because it's got the wide, really wide. You know, like it's not chintzy, so it will stay. If you put it somewhere, it'll stay. You know, and it's not gonna break. It's kind of bulky, but you know, it's good. That's what I use every day. Let's see. That's not supposed to be in here. This is just little wire. Wire is always good to have, though. a little chicken shit hammer. You know, you might laugh and say, oh God, he got a little dollar store hammer in his truck. But look how flat this thing is on the end. It's perfectly flat to where I can pound in a finish nail or something that's sticking out a little bit. You just get a true flat hit here, and it's got a good, you know, it's weighted good in the head. So it packs more of a punch than you would think. And it's compact. I mean, I just throw it in here. And that's it, you know. It's not a big hammer, but it gets most of the stuff done. You don't need a fancy hammer. You know, they're freaking cheap. You need a flat hammer when you want to strike something, make it flat. You want the flattest hammer you can get, and this little cheap thing is perfect. It's got a great nail puller, a good fulcrum for really getting nails out. It's just a great hammer, and I think I got it at Daiso or something. It was maybe not Daiso. I think it might have been a hardware store, but it was just a cheap hammer, but it's excellent. Don't need fancy. Let's see, this is my big level. I think it's 18 inches. It's just an old Craftsman, true Craftsman from Made in America. These are the old school Craftsman that they don't make anymore. Now everything's made in China. This was made in America back in the day where tools were very important to everybody. You didn't want shitty tools. If you bought the cheap tools of today, you would just be frustrated. You know, people didn't have as much money back then, you know. But this is from like the 80s or 90s, and it's built like a tank. I mean, it's still here. So if you ever see a level like this, Craftsman or anything made in the USA that looks old like this, that's a true level, it's excellent. Grab it, because the new ones are shitty. Next. Okay, we got here just a bunch of stuff. Scissors. A wiggy. I think they're called wiggies. It's a little tester. You know, that you test an outlet with to make sure it's hot or see if it's hot or not. Just good to have, because I'm always moving around outlets and stuff, or working around outlets, and you want to make sure you're not going to get shocked. These are just blades. A good Sharpie. It's like a professional Sharpie. You know, like just a marker. But it's really good. It's a professional. Not the plastic cheap, because you need a good marker. This, just a little flat, cheap, like I think something from the kitchen, but it's super flat. So there's times where you need to get in between something that a pry bar won't fit or nothing will fit. This will fit and get you enough lever. You know, you can pull something away just enough to where you can get this in there. This is pretty close to getting all the way in there without the other thing, but there's times where it's even thinner. So you need this to get it started. And I use that a lot. So this is an old Made in the USA Red Devil putty knife. Another tool that was made in like the 70s or something that still works great. You buy a new one of these, there's no way it's lasting, 50 years? This thing's been around forever, and it's not going anywhere. It's good carbon steel. You know, people might look at my tools and say, oh, look at those old tools. No, this is what you have to use if you're a professional. You don't want the cheap crap, because you'll be going back to your truck when you're on a job and you'll be like, oh man, I gotta go get a new putty knife because the handle broke off. Use the old stuff that works, that's tried and true. There's nothing different than it was when it was built or made 50 years ago. So why change it? They're excellent tools. If you look at somebody's tool bag and you see a bunch of new tools that, you know, haven't really been used, or they're the new fancy tools or whatever, and you look at the person, they're not a professional. If you see a professional, their tools are gonna look like this. They're gonna look used. You know, you don't have to have the flash and all that. That's just for show. That's just somebody that's, you know, whatever, has to have the most expensive everything. This is just a cheap little ratcheting screwdriver, but it's great for, let me see. We'll just go to the next thing. Oh wait, shit, I got more stuff on the back. Another pair of nail pullers. These, you can get a lot of leverage to really pull out a nail. So they're good to have. Removing fence nails and stuff like that. The old school crescent wrench. Hell, I think this one's made in America. Yeah, this is like one of the originals. I got this from my grandfather that passed away. Brand new in his toolbox. And it's probably from, this is probably from the 90s or something. Maybe before that, I don't know. But this is the original crescent wrench. I hate these things. I just hate them. You know, you have to have them in certain situations. But here's a perfect example of why I hate them. That right there, that's from like 2 weeks ago, using this wrench like this on a nut and turning it, and it slips off the nut because these things suck. You know, I mean, they work and they get the job done. But if you really want to try and pull something, you have to be careful because it'll slip off the end of the nut. It just doesn't, you know, they don't grab like, oh, where are those? Like these would. You see, you can pretty much do similar stuff, but you can use your hands and hold tight on that. Whereas this is all up to this little mechanism here. So it doesn't grip it, but it fits on perfectly. So in most situations you're good. But if the nut is rounded off a little bit at all and you don't have a good grip on it, it'll slip. And that's what happens is you bust your knuckles up. It's a pain in the ass. That's one of the first good ideas, I guess, that they come up with. Another little vice. This is a little vice grip. You know, vice grips are those ones where they, like, you need to clip onto anything. I'll clip onto the end of this bag, and it locks. You see, that locks to where it's not going anywhere. You can lift the whole bag up, do whatever you need to do. Just push that and it comes apart. But vice grips are absolutely a must-have in your tool bag. I mean, you can make a handle out of something. You can do temporary handles, temporary anything that you have to change out, like a knob, a doorknob or something. You just put that over it, clamp it down, and then you can twist this as the knob. If it's temporary, you know, for temporary, just to get you to where it'll work for the weekend or whatever until you can get to the store to get a new knob. This is your knob. I've used it so many times like that. That's why I say as a doorknob. Let's see. What is that? Just a little cut-off paintbrush. Probably just an old paintbrush that I cut off. But these things are kind of critical if you need to get dust out of an area, a little tight area, before you paint something, or if you need to clean something off real quick. Or whatever. This is the best blade that you can get, I think. The snap-off blades. This one was recalled, or they stopped making them like this. They put a twist knob on the thing right here, and you know, this is the best because you can just slide it up and down when you need it. But it breaks up, and anyway, this is excellent for a cutter, a box cutter. This also opens paint cans and stuff, so it's just a really handy cutter. What is this? Oh, these things are incredible. Knipex made in Germany, I think. If you need to bend a little piece of metal or something, this gets really flat and it's really strong. So if you put the metal in there and you can make it, and you can tighten it real tight, and then you can turn it in the metal. You can bend the metal any way you want to bend it. There's probably examples of that somewhere. It's just a little metal bender, or it can work like this. You know, there's a few different things it can be used for. I think it's best for little metal things, because you put the piece of metal in there and you can really grab onto it. I mean, you're holding onto the whole thing, and it's just, I don't know how to explain it, but they're excellent. Let's see, now we got this thing. We can get this out of the way. This is just a regular screwdriver, nothing fancy. What is that? A little pair of those old pliers. You know, whatever. I don't know why that's in there. Just weighting the bag down, pretty much. Right, this thing here. It's junk. It's plastic junk, you know. But here's the thing about this plastic junk. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 places that you close the top. So you don't have to worry about the thing opening up and everything dumping out. You know, it's cheap, but there's 5 locks. So that's what's good. If it was 1 lock in the middle, good luck, because those things open up and all your tools fall out. This one's good because it doesn't do that. But you can't bang it around because it's cheap. These are just a bunch of, this is, this is for, I don't think I can get this off with this camera in my hand. Okay, I got it out. So that's for that. This is what I was showing you earlier. This little ratchet. But that goes in there. And these are excellent for IKEA furniture. You know, they got the hex head. Well, you've got this now with that instead of the hex key. So you can really twist it and make something done really quick. You know, like a piece of a cabinet or something from IKEA. You know, it's got all these heads, different sizes. You always run into that stuff. But anyway, that's what that's good for. Oh, let's see, what else? Just a bunch of this is for cutting holes in metal. You can stop it. A step bit, I think is what it's called. You can stop it however deep you need the metal or however wide you need the metal. Just a bunch of drill bits, big drill bits, small drill bits, all that. There's more drill bits down in there. Just all my drill bits go in this thing. And you can see 3, 4, and then there's one in the middle that's, you know, clamps on there. So it's pretty decent. And that